Dog, use promo code alarm. They'll match you up to $100.
I have a cup for Cooper Cup, I guess.
Make sure when you're at the Cheesecake Factory, instead of paying a tip, just write alarm in there.
I'm like MacGyver with running back.
Yeah, that's pretty true. That's true, and yeah, that's true.
Okay, I'm getting word. We might get Joe Burrow in here. Hey, Joe!
No, I'm not drafting anyone at all.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
I've got information, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is week 2 in the National Football League. We've gone through our first complete week. We have football. We have data points. It's all in our veins. Hook some more into it because we're going to talk about week 2. It is lightning round, of course, powered by the great people at Fantasy Alarm. I am Kevin Tompkins. Of course, Britt Flinn. Of course, Mr. Andrew Cooper. Brett,
the pointing directions right, which is nearly impossible on a stream.
It is nearly impossible.
It is. It can't be.
I've never gotten it correct, so like I think I should just shut it down right now.
Pretty strong open.
You peaked, man.
Yeah.
H38. I'm done.
Yeah,
like John Elway.
That camera, the mic, Britt, looking fresh. I gotta get my lighting changed. All of a sudden now I have the worst setup here, dude. I gotta step my game up, dude. Because Britt, you're looking
right.
fresh.
Maybe stop buying Papa Luigi's pizza
see.
and put some of that equity into a microphone or something.
God, dude. Maybe stop buying so many Gerald Everett cards on Rainmakers on DraftKings and have a little more spare change floating around. But you got to make investments.
And smart investments, and maybe Gerald Everett. Maybe like the frozen pizza. Maybe not quite the best one.
I sold them all. I bought them all last week, knowing they were playing Thursday, and sold them all this morning. So I'm free.
This, my friends, is how you turn a profit in this economy.
Yeah, that's right.
Literally in this economy.
Right. Easy.
So we got through a week of football. Any snap judgments based on a week here? Do we want to overreact for anything? Before I say that, your husband, Britt, look at that amazing internet connection from Britt. Chris Sellers must not be playing Kingdoms of Amalur right now.
No, it's an inside joke. We'll get into that after the show. So okay. I'll tell you guys about it off camera. But yeah, to talk about the connection, you can actually see these little bugs that are swarming around my light. The office is next to the back door where the dogs go in and out. So all those little bugs come in and they're just like, "Ooh, light, I like it." And so, yeah, you can actually see those guys now.
Absolutely.
Guests on the show is what we call them.
Yeah, exactly. We got multiple guests, but of course, big shout out to Jorge Martin. Just finished up a stream of his. So go check that out. I will retweet that certainly. It was very, very fun. Couldn't ask for a better person to share a stream with outside of you two, of course. Than Mr.
You've been
Jorge
a busy boy,
Martin.
Kev, dude. You've been doing Front Yard Fantasy, dude. You've been doing his stream. You're everywhere, right? Making a lot of content these days.
I know, right? Like, I think people are getting sick of me, so I might need to, I might need to hit the gym here. I'm going to be starting my weight loss journey here and starting next Monday. So that should be a lot of fun. And I will not be less reasonable, but I will be less weight with the same amount of reasonable.
Dude, that's so crazy that Scamper said that, because Scampers, we were actually talking about you before the show. I think, is Scampers like some sort of like angel, like some sort of ghost that is everywhere? I think you actually might be everywhere. Like, no matter, I don't care what you
inside
said,
the house.
Scampers, the call was coming from inside the house.
That is absolutely wild. The unprovoked. It's like when you are scrolling on Twitter and you see the ads for something you talked about earlier, for no reason. I was randomly talking about Danimals yogurt, and then I see an ad on my Twitter and I'm throwing my phone, what is going on? What kind of FBI state secret is bugging my house?
That's Scamp, dude. That's Scamp. He's everywhere. Oh, I forgot that I can log into the YouTube chat. This is great.
Yeah, you can. But while you do that, we're going to be talking. You know what? I asked you guys a question, and I think I kind of went off on a tangent. Week 1, any quick snap judgments?
I'm usually I'm always super reasonable. So I would never make any snap judgments.
Oh
but
yeah, where's your cover photo that says that? Where's your hoodie that says reasonable?
Obviously, Cordarrelle Patterson's a super high end RB1. Obviously, Devin Duvernay, super mega star. Jamal Williams will have 2 touchdowns every week, so we'll claim Hunt.
And OJ Howard's back from the dead.
OJ Howard, super high end.
I said an OJ Howard's back from the dead.
Exactly, yeah. Super high end tight end. The only thing stopping OJ Howard from being the tight end 1 is Taysom Hill. So
that's true.
Honestly, I never make judgments after week 1. Those are just like obvious and true statements, every one of them, that I believe.
Yeah. I mean, I see no way that Donovan Peoples-Jones can't keep up a 36.7% target share, but
whoa, timeout with the Peoples-Jones. That's actually my boy. So let's pump the brakes on the Peoples-Jones, dude. We like him.
Well, don't we? Like Uncle Phil, that is the video that we need. We need the Uncle Phil.
When I said we, I meant me and Axel and Scampers and Wendy. Like the people that matter.
Oh, okay. The Cheesecake Factory crew where you guys are using promo code alarm.
The factory, baby. Yeah, the factory. The football and Cheesecake Factory. We're in on Peoples-Jones. I mean, 11 targets, dude.
The People's Champ, Peoples-Jones.
Can't take those away. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we talked a little about week 1. Let's talk about week 2. We got some football coming up. Of course, Chiefs, Chargers. Coop, I'll segue this to you. So a player or situation we're excited to see in week 2.
Ooh, well, I'll actually start making it easy for us. I'll start with tomorrow's game. I think that's the most exciting game of the week. More exciting than any game on Sunday or Monday. I mean, but not to give them too much credit, pretty easy one to schedule, right? Because that whole division is crazy. Like you can schedule, those games should all be primetime games in the early part of the season, at least till we know what's what and who's who. So like the Chargers Chiefs is awesome. And the thing is, a lot of people coming into it had huge opinions. People thought that the Chiefs would win the division. People thought the Chargers would. And both teams came out and played really well. It kind of stinks that Keenan Allen's hurt, but still should be an awesome game. And I think any team could technically win that division, right? Like I know we might have our favorites or our least favorites, but it's not like we're talking about the AFC South here. Any one of these teams could win. And definitely the Raiders, right? And they're the kind of the bottom tier. So I don't know. I want to hear real quick what you guys think. Which team do you think comes in last in the division?
I had
AFC
some pretty
West.
Spicy like preseason, but I thought that the Chiefs would, but they looked really good against the Cardinals, but also the Cardinals were missing like half of their secondary. So, kind of in my opinion, you have to take that game with a grain of salt. I think the way that the Raiders looked, like bringing Davante Adams in didn't really look like it improved their offense that much. Like he was the piece and then it was kind of everybody else. Like it didn't open up the offense the way that I thought that it would, especially since the Chargers were missing JC Jackson. They were missing their best corner and they still, were able to hold the Raiders to that. So now I'm kind of leaning towards the Raiders. But I honestly don't know. And we talk about parity, right? There are 2 teams 1-0, 2 teams 0-1. After Thursday, there's only going to be 1 undefeated team in that division. There's going to be so much parity within that division. It's going to go back and forth all season long. And I think it's really hard to make a prediction on that right now, to be totally honest.
Yeah, it is totally possible that like 10-7, 9-8 could win that division. That could be just a literal bloodbath. The worst team in the AFC West will be the Seattle Seahawks. Are they out of the AFC? Oh, they're in the NFC.
NFC West. NFC.
No, I know, but they used to be in the AFC West. So, little old head football for you.
My favorite one of those old head stats is that like the Indianapolis Colts still have more AFC East with championships than the New York Jets.
That's great. And that not only that, but the Seattle started in the NFC West in 1976, and Tampa Bay was in the AFC West. Like that's another kind of mind effort there. And then they moved back to their obviously the NFC Central for the Tampa Bay, and then the AFC West for Seattle. But out of this, I might have to go and defer to Mr. Chris Sellers here, Denver, because of the dumbass coach. I mean, it's really hard to kind of pick a loser out of this group of 4 teams, but I mean, I guess the Raiders would be in contention, but I don't know if Denver can get out of their own way. And I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett, trust me, I have experience with Nathaniel Hackett. He's the former offensive coordinator of Syracuse. I've watched him run an offense. Not great, Bob. Like he was the offensive coordinator. That's where he started with Doug Marrone, and then he followed Doug Marrone to Jacksonville. And he had to go, tool around with Ryan Nassib was the quarterback. It was not great, but yeah. If he can get out of his own way with his love of Brandon McManus, wanting to trot him out on 64-yard field goal attempts, sure. I mean, those coaching blunders.
Ridiculous.
Those coaching blunders are going to lose you like 1 or 2 games right there, and in a division where you need every game, especially against a team you should have beaten by at least 14 points, even though it was away. Like, that's not great, Bob.
No, not at all. Oh my gosh. There we go, Craig. But
Craig,
But just it wasn't even the fact, like those 2, fumbles at the goal line aside, like even take those away. They had 3 timeouts left at the end of that drive. Like, why would you not try to scheme up a play to get a little bit more yardage? Because obviously you're not going to make a 64-yarder. So if you don't convert, like, you're going to lose anyway. What in the hell are you thinking?
Well, it's funny because, I imagine the kicker makes those all the time back at the Mile High Stadium where the air is wispy thin. He probably was like, yeah, he makes these every day in practice, right? No big deal, right? So that's probably what happened there. Dude, shout out Craig, dude. I got to say, he comes in with the grimace emojis in the chat, and he was also dropping grimace emojis fresh this morning at 7 a.m. on the Better Sports Network, dude. Craig,
hit the fun button.
You're the man, dude. Slamming that fun button. I really appreciate the support, man. Craig is the dude. Scampers, all these guys, dude. I even like Sellers. I even kind of like Sellers.
Speaking of Broncos, right. I told this story to Simon off air. So the day you guys gave away that Cortland Sutton jersey, the producer was calling me. He called me twice. I was having internet issues.
Dude, my brother-in-law texted me and said the same thing, that he just missed that, and he's a Broncos fan. That Sutton jersey was hot commodity.
Yeah, it was. That was going right up there. Like, my internet was having just really bad. I don't know what it was, but like I had to turn off on and off Wi-Fi like on my phone, and I could see, how it'll show. I don't know if you know, but it'll show like call from producer. It'll be like a big gray line or something like that. And they tried it twice, and I'm like, I just lost a jersey. I could not. I'm like, hello. Like, and then I saw that jersey. I'm like, oh, I'm glad it wasn't Jay Novacek.
Well, my buddy called in. He was like the second one to call in, and then it turned out to be a Tyreek Hill jersey, which we're Patriots fans. He would have just cashed that out right away. But then the second time he called in and won, and it was a Patrick Mahomes jersey. I'm sorry, it was a Patrick Mahomes it was a Patrick Mahomes rookie card. So like,
that's sweet.
Things worked out just right for them. Yeah. But so yeah, check us out, Better Sports Network, 7 to 10 a.m. and also Fantasy Alarm Show. 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays. But let's get back to the task at hand, Britt. You have a situation you're excited to see in week 2, I imagine, no?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see Minnesota and the Eagles on Monday night. Like, we knew that Minnesota was going to be good, right? Like, they've got Kevin O'Connell there, they've got Justin Jefferson, but I did not expect them to be this good, especially against Green Bay's secondary. And the fact that Justin Jefferson went out there and absolutely torched everyone. Like, I want to see him against this Eagles defense, who on paper, their secondary looks really good. They've got James Bradbury, they've got Malcolm Epps, they've got CJ Gardner-Johnson, like they've got some really high profile dudes in that secondary, but yet they gave up so many points to the Lions. So how are they going to fix this going into Monday? And then Dwayne McFarland put out a really kind of fun stat either yesterday or today, was that Justin Jefferson lined up 24% of his snaps against linebackers or safeties last season. On Sunday, it was 60% of his snaps. He's not even
Thanks,
messing
Joe
around.
Barry.
Yeah, he's not even messing around with the corners. Like, he's completely exploiting these matchups, and I cannot wait to see it. And I know that Kevin's a Packers fan. I'm not trying to rub this in, but
No, I
I
thought
kind
it
of
was
want to see a
hilarious. Trust
changing of the guard. I do kind of want to see a changing of the guard, you know?
The
It's funny,
best
like-
picture, I was just gonna say the best picture. Sorry, Coop. The
good.
best picture was the picture of Preston Smith on Justin Jefferson, and then Jair Alexander on Johnny Munn, like right next to him. Like that was the snapshot. You put that in your time capsule.
Right. It's crazy to me, right? It's like Justin Jefferson came out and said, "Hey, now I see why Cooper Kupp was open so often. Nobody from the division could have gone back. Like the Packers coaches couldn't gone back and been like, hey, let's watch and see why Cooper Kupp was open that often. Nobody could go back and watch Michael Thomas get 275 targets or whatever he had and be like, hey, you know what? It's okay to put our best corner in the slot every once in a while. Every once in a while. Like it's not the end of the world. But no. Teams apparently are just like, no. The rule is you have to have a line. You have to have Devondre Campbell go out and cover Justin Jefferson because he's too close to the line of scrimmage. It's like, dude, you have to adjust, man. The modern NFL. So that's crazy to me. I'm excited for that game. I want to see. There's two guys from that game that I'm excited to see if they can bounce back because they both had parallel narratives, right? Like Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown went crazy, and Devonta Smith and Adam Thielen did between nothing and very little, right? Devonta Smith did nothing. Adam Thielen did very little. But both those guys played monster snap shares. Adam Thielen ran 100% of the routes. And Devonta Smith played 96% of the snaps and ran 98% of the routes, right? Over 4 targets. Not going to happen every time. I would bet my bottom dollar that Devonta Smith catches a pass this week. You know, like he's not gonna. There's no chance that he can go out and do the same thing. I think both guys. I'm excited to see what they're going to be and if they're going to be anything. But Britt, that's a great game to pick and awesome because it's Monday night. So we have the Thursday night game. We have the the second.
We have two Monday night games.
There's 2 Monday night games. The
Bonus football.
Those fancy folks. But Kev, what are you excited to see?
Well, I just want to say, just to piggyback off of the Joe Barry thing, like anytime that you can hire the defensive coordinator of the 0-16 Detroit Lions in 2008, I think you got to do it. Gotta do it. I mean, if anytime you can bring over those principles from 14 years ago, I think, you can't teach that. Like, that's just stuff you can't teach. What am I excited about? I never thought I would be so excited. I mean, I'm not like jumping out of my chair or anything, but I'm very excited about the Washington Commanders receiving core. Like, we know about Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel is one of the hottest waiver wire additions this week next to Jeff Wilson. But Jahan Dotson caught 2 touchdowns. And before you say, well, let's not read into the stats, Jahan Dotson ran 89% of the routes, played 88% of the snaps last week. Add that to Logan Thomas. You've got a functional offense in Washington in this economy. Like, what is going on here? And there's a reason I put Jahan Dotson on the cover of our stream tonight, because I had to go back and look at my priors, and I called Jahan Dotson just a guy, and I retweeted that and I said, I'm stupid. Like, Jahan Dotson looked anything but a guy last week. So if this is, I mean, for a rookie in week 1 to be that involved in an offense, I think that is a massive flare, a massive signal that Washington wants to feature Jahan Dotson. They were ridiculed in the draft for taking him so high when there were guys like Treylon Burks and, available. But this Washington offense may have a little bit of juice with a Curtis Samuel now healthy, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson. Like, there might be some juice here, and I am excited for it. I don't know about you guys, but maybe this is a little bit of a week 1 overreaction, but I'm very encouraged at the very least.
You brought the horse down to the water And you didn't have him drink, man. What name did he not say there, Britt Flinn? Of all those players on Washington, what name did he not say?
I mean, you
I
have to
said
think
Logan
that-
Thomas.
You didn't say Carson Wentz, bro. Like, what the heck?
Because
if he's gonna
I
have all these weapons. If he's gonna have all these weapons throwing for 300 yards, being a super megastar, former MVP candidate, right?
Should have been.
Went to the Super Bowl, got hurt, and Nick Foles. He probably would have won that Super Bowl, you know. Like, okay, Jim Irsay doesn't like him. That's fine, but like, I mean, he came out and he slung the ball around. And to your point on Jahan Dotson, when you go back and look at Mike Evans' rookie year and like Odell Beckham's rookie year, they didn't do anything in the first few games, and then they blew up. Like, the guys that blow up early usually blow up big time, dude. Jamin Davis shut down my boy Evan Ingram. I will say that it was tough. Well, I mean, 4 for 4, and he had the pass interference. So Jamin Davis isn't even that cool, Craig. We had 2 IDP dudes in the chat, Loop and Craig. So yeah, I forgot that not on Better Sports where people can call in. So I'll just make fun of IDP. Nothing you can do.
And then we'll decide whether we want to put that on our airwaves or not.
Yeah, hit that downvote button, I guess. But yeah,
no.
So when I look at these guys, dude, I think I do lean Jahan Dotson just because of the average depth of target, right? Like if they're gonna get equal targets, Jahan Dotson 16.2 yards average depth of target, Terry McLaurin 18.3, Logan Thomas 12.6. I'm gonna give each of you guys one guess what you think Curtis Samuels was. Take a guess. Brett, you go first. Everyone else was 12 to 18 yards.
His was 8.2.
So it's going to be under that. Kev, take a guess.
I mean, I have not looked at it, but I would probably say it's close to. God, it's got to be low. Like, it's got to be like stone low, like
it is.
2 or 3 yards.
If I'm bringing it up, it's crazy low. It's 1.3 yards.
Right.
1.3 yards. I think the thing that saves Samuel the number of targets and the carries, which the carries are important. But I mean, be prepared for weeks when you have a guy at 1.3 yards. Be prepared for those Rondale Moore weeks. So, just want to say that on that topic.
I just want to bring up the usage of Antonio Gibson in the passing game. Also, like, everyone thought that he was dead, like he was dust, he's gone. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, like, he comes out and he's catching like 20-yard passes. Like, it's crazy to me.
He's running actual like routes.
Yeah, like he did in college when he was at Memphis. Like, that is his bread and butter. That's what he does. And yeah, he's great as a running back, but he excels as a pass catcher. And I think even when Brian Robinson comes back, that it's not going to be Antonio Gibson who's phased out. It's going to be JD McKissick. They're going to alternate those guys, and Antonio Gibson's still going to have a pass catching role. And I hate to say it as a Cowboys fan, but I think that this Washington offense is actually going to do something this year. And, you know, I've all but given up on the Cowboys. It doesn't even matter. This year it doesn't matter.
For the McKissick slander, by the way.
It would crush your 0 RB builds everywhere.
And apparently Brian Robinson's going to be back soon. So, I mean, this team can make some noise.
Yeah.
They're very interesting. Like, for the one time in like 15 years, the Washington Commanders are interesting. Like, write that down. So we talked about the good stuff. Let's talk about maybe some stuff we're a little shaky on. One player or situation that we're nervous about in week 2. Britt, we will start with you.
So I'm very concerned about Kyle Pitts going against the Rams. We kind of look at what Dawson Knox did against them. And yeah, he only got 2 targets because he was out there blocking. Yeah, you're exactly right, Craig. The Cowboy season is done. I've already cut ties. I've done the cord cutting ceremony. Everything's fine. We're picking another team for this season. But
2023, let's ride.
Yeah, it next year is going to be our year. That's what Cowboys fans are trained to say at birth, let me tell you. But we look at what Dawson Knox did against the Rams, and, you know, he was out there blocking a lot and he only got 2 targets, but he also just was not really getting open a lot on those routes that he ran. And then you look at what Kyle Pitts did against the Saints. You know, he had 7 targets, but only 2 receptions. And none of them were for these big, huge, long passes like he's been known to do in the past. And so against a Rams team who I think really has a chip on their shoulder now to prove that they don't have a Super Bowl hangover, I'm very concerned about Kyle Pitts going into this matchup.
Britt, you nailed it right on the head, and I actually just tweeted out the pass blocking numbers yesterday. So this is the scary thing. Dawson Knox blocked on 21.9% of his snaps. We had Sal Capaccio on the Better Sports Network. He said the same thing that you just said, that it was you keep him in because Aaron Donald is there, right? You want to have the guy hang in there. And the thing about the Bills offense is Dawson Knox could have easily scored the touchdown that Gabriel Davis scored. The RPO, like, it's like whoever sneaks out scores, right? But they did have him hanging to block. Dude, Kyle Pitts this weekend already blocked on 20% of his pass plays. 20%. And as we know, you got to be below 15%. Like, only one dude has done that. So Arthur Smith was like, hey, whoever's the tight end on this team has to play like a tight end. And he took a wide receiver in Kyle Pitts and had him stay in line and block on 7 pass plays when they didn't even pass them that much, like 20%, 1 of every 5 pass plays. That's absurd.
33% pass attempts that game.
Yeah, and so when you come in and now you play the Rams with the Aaron Donald stuff, he's going to do the same thing, I bet. So, Britt, I am super scared that they do the same thing. I truly hope that he recognized the mistake he made and he actually plays him out wide, because it could get ugly quick for Pitts if that's what he's doing.
Well, my hope with that is that they did sign Ferkser, I believe, to their 53-man roster. They promoted him from the practice squad for the game, and he was actually getting targets, and I was screaming my little head off. I'm like, why is Ferkser getting targets over Kyle Pitts? But they actually signed him to the 53-man roster. So hopefully he will have more of a blocking role as opposed to Pitts, but it does not look very friendly.
Yeah, I'll maybe give him a little bit of a pass because he did see when he was out wide a lot of Marshawn Lattimore, and that's to be expected with a guy, anytime you go up against a guy like Marshawn Lattimore. But I mean, the 11-yard ADOT is not, it's the opposite of concerning. I actually do like that as a good sign for Pitts. I mean, this is basically a assuming rational coaching kind of tenet here, where we got to assume that the Arthur Smith is not dumb enough to let Kyle Pitts block, your best offensive talent block. Like, Drake London looked really good, I will say that, and the signs for him, from week 1 were really encouraging. I mean, he was 5 for 74, led the team in receptions and receiving yards, 81% of routes. So very encouraged by Drake London, but you've got to get your best players involved, especially on offense, and you can't have these guys blocking like that. Like, that is how not using your guys is how you lose a job in the NFL. Like, not using Justin Fields was the nail in the coffin for Matt Nagy. And if Arthur Smith is not going to use the guy that they took, in the top 10 last year, then Arthur Smith might be not long for this Atlanta Falcons Chick-fil-A never open on a Sunday in Mercedes-Benz Stadium world anyway. So
maybe he went Arthur Smith. If I'm here, I'll go full tinfoil hat on this one. Arthur Smith, Alex Jones, tinfoil hat. Arthur Smith, God. Maybe he went to Arthur Blank, who looks like evil Walt Disney, and said,
he does.
I'm gonna use Kyle Pitts like an inline tight end. So when it's time, because we're doing a bridge year anyway, right? So when it's time to give him his extension, we don't have to pay him like a wide receiver. We'll pay him like a tight end.
Oh, the Mike Gesicki treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, less of a Jimmy Graham, more of a Mike Gesicki. That's brutal.
Could be.
My heart hurts right now.
Don't get me going down this rabbit hole.
Let's
conspiracies.
Let's take off the tinfoil hats for Kyle Pitts. Coop, one player or situation that you're nervous about in week 2, and let's not talk about Kyle Pitts because I'm already like halfway out the door and ready to walk into oncoming traffic.
This one doesn't need to be a long-winded one for me. Pretty easy to say is that Mac Jones, my favorite team, New England Patriots, has a back injury, they say. And Tony Romo said himself on a broadcast, who do you know that used to have a back injury? I think he was talking about himself to a certain degree, but it's true. Super complicated, impossible to diagnose, right? Like the back, even with these, like, as from I've heard with the quad injuries, it could be any number of things because your quad is actually a bundle of like 5 muscles, right? Like your back is it could be a million different things. So if Mac Jones has a back injury, the season's over, and I just hope that like he gets it together. So I don't want to see him tough it out. Like this is already a bridge year. Like this year we're collecting a JC Jackson comp pick and moving money to the Amazon year next year, and then that's when they potentially go all in. So I am terrified that he has a serious back injury, and it's going to be like, Bailey Zappi and the Brian Hoyer and the boys. I don't know.
Brian Hoyer and the boys.
Bring Brian Hoyer back.
Sounds like a sitcom.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That is canceled within like 2 episodes.
So quickly. Yeah. So yes, that's what I'm scared about. Need to see what that's going to look like here because they should be able to beat the Steelers, but
keyword
not,
should.
I guess.
Well, I guess you know what I'll just say. Dwayne McFarland was kind of right last week about Miami just beating the brakes off of the. I mean, 20-7. I don't think that score really does it much justice. They did not look like they belong. I mean, just with Miami's total teams, the Patriots might be the most unathletic team in football. I don't think that's even a stretch.
Yeah, I mean,
on offense,
it just does not look good at all. And they said that Mac Jones' back issue was more of back spasms, but Bill Belichick is also notoriously shady when it comes to transparency on athletic injuries. So who knows if that's really the thing or not. And then you've got Javonte Parker that you brought in that just didn't do anything at all. I mean, this offense as a whole just did not look good. Have they even decided, are you going to have Matt Patricia call or Joe Judge? Or are they just like drawing plays out of a damn hat at this point, which is kind of what it looked like. I mean, they're in for a long season if they can't get their stuff together.
Right, you're right. I remember Belichick had Tom Brady as questionable on the injury report for legit 3 straight years. And then they were like, all right, we got to change the rules here. You can't just list you can't just, you know what I mean? He's questionable with arm soreness. He threw 30 footballs on Sunday. It's no, you can't be doing that. So yeah. Belichick has never been a huge fan of unwritten rules. That's why I've always wanted to see him coach a baseball team and just be like, yeah, we're stealing, we're stepping on the mound every time. And if you hit our player, if we're bat flipping every home run, and if the guy gets up and you hit our guy with a ball, we'll take the free base. He'd probably be the best baseball coach of all time because he'd be like, yeah, put the rules in writing if you want me to follow them.
Yeah, and if he would have said he would retire as soon as when they banned the shift.
Yeah, he would definitely would. Ernie Adams would have thrown his hat in the mud, kicking dust everywhere, dude. Ban the shift.
Yeah, screw that. Well, the one thing that I'm maybe kind of nervous about, and watching this team on Monday and watching the ray of sunshine that is Javonte Williams just look like a grown man among boys and looking like the best player on the field, and then the sad trombone, whatever he got on the field, of Melvin Gordon. I want to know how this is going to shake out because, I mean, I just don't know how you keep Javonte Williams off the field. And assuming rational coaching would say that Javonte Williams has probably earned himself more of a role. I know it was kind of fluky the way that happened, where he ended up getting 12 targets and 11 catches and all that. I mean, trust me, we needed that, Coop, and we ended up getting a win in our FFPC at Football Guys Draft. Thank you, Javonte Williams. Thumbs up ski for real. But I mean, the fact that he ran 62% of routes is very encouraging. Melvin Gordon, not really a factor in the pass catching part of that, but Melvin Gordon did take the rushing mantle there with more carries. I just want to see Javonte Williams just get a larger slice of that pie, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm just very nervous about the future prospects of Javonte Williams as it relates to Nathaniel Hackett wanting to keep Melvin Gordon involved in the offense. He is, I said this on Front Yard Fantasy. I can't remember if it was in relation to Melvin Gordon to Javonte, but he is a barnacle and not going away. That was actually for Rex Burkhead, but the point still stands. Melvin Gordon is the barnacle that will not come off of Javonte Williams. And until that barnacle is removed, we're going to be hating life, knowing that the capped ceiling is always capped for Javonte.
Britt, which player do you think had the worst goal line fumble? Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams?
I think it wasn't Javonte's fault. That lineman completely got pushed back into him. That was kind of a freak accident situation, I think. So for me, it has to be Melvin Gordon. It did quiet Twitter down with all the Javonte would never fumble at the goal line, though. For it to happen back to back, it was just what the hell just happened?
The second fumble, even if Javonte fumbled first and then Melvin fumbled second, it would have been satisfying. I should love to see Twitter in turmoil. That's my very favorite. It truly is.
It was pretty great. I was struggling over a home league, so I was on my phone the whole time, and then during commercials, I just got to Twitter because I'm like, I can't look at the score anymore. I can't do it. And so just to see all the meltdowns and stuff like that was
who were you sweating?
hilarious.
I can't remember. I know you were sweating somebody.
I had Cortland Sutton and Jordan Brooks. Yeah. And he had DK Metcalf. And then Sutton had those 2 pass interference penalties, either one of which would have won me the matchup. And I'm just like, we can't get this done. Denver, we cannot get this done. And that's why I think that we can put this whole split back down to bad coaching. I mean, I don't think that Hackett looked great as a coach. Javonte, especially in that opening drive, was averaging 10 yards a carry. I mean, it was insane. And then, nope, we're just going to dump him off, which was great for fantasy and PPR leagues. But as an actual coach, what are you doing not giving your explosive guy the ball? It just really doesn't make any sense. And I hope that they really reflect on their decisions and go stand with their nose in a corner and watch a lot of film this week and think about what they did, because they are better than this.
They have 2 good backs. They should use both.
Wendy, I've never been more compelled to respond to your comment with
true. And yeah, that's pretty true. That's true. And yeah, that's true.
But if you ask Nathaniel Hackett whether he's going to stop playing Melvin Gordon,
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
Let me add a third one then while we're doing this, because I think that, based on what Britt says and what we all saw, Melvin Gordon might be
expired.
Although I still like Melvin
Gordon.
And if you have 2 good backs, the reality is in fantasy football, we want them to use one, but in real life football, might as well use them both. It's just the way it goes. If one guy had fumbled and the other guy hadn't, it would be a lot easier to make that argument. But both those guys look fine, and we can go on and on about yards per carry. And if we want to make that argument, then maybe Taysom Hill should be the RB1 in the league because he averaged about 20 yards per carry this week. But that's not
brother, this guy stinks.
That's not always how it works in this league. Some guys have to do the nitty gritty work. Don't get a lot of yards for a 3rd and 1 successfully converted, although it's a very good football play. So let's just be careful when we talk about yards per carry, unless we have the full context. That's all I have to say. This is Zeke Elliott.
Derrick Henry sucks. He averaged under 4 yards per carry.
This comment has been sponsored by Zeke Elliott.
But yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow, Coop.
It's just tragic. I could have gone with the what makes me nervous being the Cowboys, but that's just low hanging fruit at this point. You don't
really have to be nervous about Cowboys because they're dust. Kev.
Yeah, we already know.
The way you just glossed over that.
Kev.
There's dust anyway.
Yeah. So if this the beginning part of the season, this is my favorite part, right? Because in the very first week, there's always questions, but the questions get even deeper the second week. Now that we have these like 1-game sample sizes that are impossibly small, it's like we're left with more questions than we had going in. So like, what question do you want to see answered this week, Kev? From week 1 left us hanging. What do you want to see?
I actually have 2, but I want to know because I figured I only made it the title of this video. Is Saquon Barkley like freaking back? Like the Saquon Barkley? Like the guy that, led the team last week, the Giants, in rushing and receiving, the guy that looked truly like a man among boys. Like Saquon, I mean, we've been waiting for this Saquon Barkley for like 2 years now, and I think finally we're getting it. And Brian Dable has just such a quagmire of wide receivers that he doesn't want to play, and reclamation. Like Kadarius Toney ran 3 routes, 1, 2, 3. He played 7 snaps, but Saquon, you know what? Brian Dable, in just a complete mind fuck, decided, you know what? I know we came from the Josh Allen where we're going to pass the ball 65% of the time, but no, we're the New York Giants. We're going to start running the ball like all the time. And you know what? We have the best running back, we feel, in the National Football League to go ahead and do it. So let's go take Saquon Barkley, run him ragged. Let's use him in every facet of our offense and just ride this horse. And you know what? They beat the Tennessee Titans. I know it's the Tennessee Titans, and I'm much lower on the Tennessee Titans because I think they're kind of the most smoke and mirrors team. And I don't know how Mike Vrabel does it. He won Coach of the Year over Matt LaFleur. I mean, so say what you want to say there, but ride Saquon Barkley. If you got him in like that 1-2 turn, or you even took him in the first round at the end of it, you are loving life right now. You are seeing the old Saquon Barkley back. And I want to know if this is for real.
Well, I think the short answer is yeah.
I know I threw a lot at you guys. I'm sorry.
And the long answer is yee-hoo. Let's go, boy. Yep, skiddly do. I think, or Britt, give us some stuff they say in Arkansas. Let's say you pull a catfish out of the Mississippi. What do you guys say down there?
Well, I didn't grow up on the Mississippi. I grew up on the Arkansas.
Okay.
I don't really know.
I got another one, Billy, Bob, Joe, Danny, Frank. Come on.
I don't really know if we even use words or if we just use like sounds.
What the hell's happening?
Give us a sound. I think it gave you a bunch.
Nope.
Sellers, come in the room. If you're watching, come in the room and tell us. Give us a you. Because Saquon Barkley is back, baby. You got the RB1 potentially overall in the second round in a lot of drafts. Oh yeah.
The RB1 came from the second round last year too, by the way. Wink, wink.
I mean, they went out and got Evan Neal and really shored up their offensive line. And I mean, Barkley made Daniel Jones look like a competent quarterback. Like he had that threat behind him and they had to play honest.
That deserves a Nobel Prize, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to be fair, Harold Landry did go out for the season, like before it even started, with an ACL. And that's a big part of their linebacker core. But Saquon was doing so much stuff, like running along the sideline and just like straight up hurdling people and like skipping to like short step people, like he looked so good. I don't know where that came from, but that has to be clipped. Somebody clip this, please.
That's being clipped.
Sellers corrected us in the chat. Britt, can you please pronounce that for us?
Well, it's normally hot diggity damn.
So not hot doggity damn.
I like hot doggity, I think.
I'm from the River Valley. He's from like North Central, so
it's a bit of a bit of a diggity versus doggity.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Chat, what do you guys think? Wendy, do you prefer diggity or doggity? I need to know. We need a chat. We need a poll system here for diggity versus doggity. I don't know. I don't know what I lean. I think I might lean doggity. Seller says doggity, I say doggity.
No matter if you like diggity or doggity, please hit the like button on this video, by the way, on YouTube. It really helps us out and helps put my kid through college.
Yeah, here's the new voting system. The voting system is if you think it should be diggity, hit the like button. If you think it should be doggity, smash the like button.
Like, don't smash it to the point where you can't do it in the future, but with enough force that you're really putting the oomph in there.
Axel, dude, we got 2 votes for doggity, 3 votes for doggity if you count mine, 1 vote for diggity if you count Britt.
I like doggity. I'm team doggity.
Sorry, Britt. I think you might be outnumbered here. You might have to leave town.
Flow the same way.
You might have to leave town.
Oh, I forgot to mention that the poll is loser leaves town. So,
Yeah.
Oh, Wendy's got your back. Wendy, you're a little angel, Wendy. Wendy's got Britt's back. Okay.
Well, at least it's not hair for hair versus hair, because I already lost. So
That's tough battle. All right, Britt. What do you want to see this week? What answers do you need desperately?
I want to see if Trey Lance was okay. Now you have actually segue to that comment. Seller said I meant diggity, but now I kind of like doggity.
That poll has already been closed. The people have chosen doggity. That's the
We just watched the change of some etymology in real time, folks, in some real time.
You'll love to see it.
That's right.
But no, I want to see if Trey Lance, if his performance against the Bears was just a fluke due to the weather, or if he's really not ready for the NFL level at this point. You know, he only threw for 164 yards. His completion percentage was 46%, which is not great to say the least. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think his QBR was 43. And Chicago's not supposed to be that great. They were supposed to go in here and beat Chicago handedly, yet they got beaten by 9. I mean, that was basically a 16-point swing between the spread. And so I want to kind of give him a little bit of a pass because of the weather, like it was just a deluge and flash flood warnings and all that stuff. But I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards the side that he's just not prepared to play at the NFL level yet. And if that is the case, how much longer is it going to be until they, maybe put Jimmy Garoppolo back in there? They kept him instead of trading him when they could.
I'm sorry. I just had to interject. I cannot let this Trey Lance slander stand. Sorry, Britt.
Britt's calling for Britt's calling for Jim Jam. One rainy game in, and Britt's calling for Jim Jam Galapagos to take over the team.
I'm not. But this matchup with the Seahawks is going to tell a lot because they lost Jamal Adams. I cannot. But they lost Jamal Adams. They're heavily favored in this game as well, but so were the Broncos. And so, how are they going to be able to actually compare to the Seahawks? I know that they're playing at home, and hopefully he'll have a better game, and it'll kind of take some of that pressure off. But I just need to know because kind of in my heart of hearts, I don't think that Trey Lance is 100% ready.
I mean, Vegas is heart of hearts. Well, did you say the spread there? What it was? I think it's like 9.5 or something. It's pretty.
I don't know the spread, but I know that San Fran's favored like a negative 500.
Yeah, San Fran's favored.
It's -9.
Yeah, so San Fran is favored big. They think they're going to win, and I'll go as far as to add the Bears. Right, like that game was a disaster for both teams. So I want to see. I'm giving both those teams a pass. I think it's official. Mark it down. That the leading target getter for the Bears was David Montgomery with 4 targets. Cole Kmet had 1 target, -4 yards. I don't think that was the plan. Maybe he just didn't have the right cleats. I have no idea. But, it'd be nice to see a real game where both teams have to throw a lot of passes, right? Because we know the quarterbacks, can run for 10 yards at any given time. We know that. That has been answered. It's confirmed. Those guys can scoot around. There's, that's not the question. The question is whether they can go out and throw 30 to 35 times and pull a Lamar Jackson where, he threw 36 touchdowns, which doesn't seem that many, but actually led the league that particular year. And then he ran for like 1,000 yards. So he was easily the MVP, only throwing for 30 something touchdowns. These guys don't have to be miraculous throwing the football to be fantasy relevant quarterbacks in the position they're in. So I think Britt hit the nail on the head with that game. Like that game, let's just throw it out and say the 49ers could be awesome. The Bears could be awesome. We don't know. We get to see another week 1 game this week. 2 week 1 games, right? Like get to see him for real. I was playing with, and Britt, yes, you mentioned I was playing with my finger trap. Sorry if that's what that sound was. Because of how much we pull it up on the show in the morning from 7 to 10, that it's just a second nature to have it available. So I should stop doing that. Yeah. Good call.
I can't believe that thing is surviving. Like that thing has survived a month.
And thriving.
I'm going to order it actually is doing it. I'll tell you, it still traps your fingers pretty good. There are definitely moments of panic where I'm like playing with it and I'm like, oh, wait a second. Like I have to mute myself. So I'm probably going to order a batch of them. I'll send some out to some scampers. You get one. Anybody in the chat right now, finger trap may be coming your way.
I want one. Hell.
Well, Kev, you're not in the chat, so I haven't seen you in the chat. I'm in the chat.
I was in the chat last week.
I'm saying I'm in here. I don't see you in here. I don't know what the deal is.
He's like, I'm getting in here. I need a finger trap from 3 different accounts.
None of those accounts are your official account, dude. You're not in there. I'm in there. So we have me. I'm gonna get one. Me again. Scampers is going to send me one, which sounds terrifying. Axel, Wendy, we'll get them all out, sent out to you guys. But you guys all did yours, so I guess I'll do mine then, right?
I mean, I'll do another one, but yeah.
I do actually want to hear. I do want to hear another one from you, Kev. Go.
Well, you know what? Where is my finger trap? Because I just entered into the chat and it won't even pop up. So apparently it already realizes I am ineligible. There it is. Boom. There you go.
All right.
Give me that finger trap. I want to know, who's going to separate from the Packers receivers to gain meaningful route share with Lazard in the lineup. If he's playing, I want to know how it's going to shake out. Last week, it was very flat target distribution. We're looking at like high 60s% of route share between Romeo Doubs, Watson, Sammy Watkins, and Randall Cobb. Like they were all just lumped together in one just kind of amorphous blob. But apparently I'm just going to keep my comment up there. Why not? I want to know how it's going to shake out. We are talking about the Green Bay
It was
Packers.
an appropriate comment for the Packers.
Yeah, no, you're no shit. But I mean, I guess technically Christian Watson led that team in targets with like one more route. But with Lazard back, someone's going to get kicked out of that group. I really hope, it's one of the dusty guys like Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb and not one of the younger guys that could actually give some juice to this offense. Because, I mean, let's just face it. Before the 2022 New England Patriots, it was the Packers from like 2019 to 2021 that had like the least juice in their offense as far as like team speed, athleticism. Like Davante Adams is a great wide receiver, but he's never been like a true like athletic marvel. I guess you could say that about Marcus Valdes-Scantling, but that dude is literal dust. So and now does not play for Green Bay. So I can say that, but I just don't know how you can continue to give routes to Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins at the expense of actual tangible improvement within the receiver room with Doubs and Watson. Like these guys have to play. So, and we know Lazard, when he is out there, is going to be the wide receiver one. It's just a matter of, who else it's going to be. They can't play 5 wide all the time. And when they have AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and Robert Tonyan. And that, Robert Tonyan is another story because now they're playing literally 4 tight ends out there. Like Mercedes Lewis is out there on like 55% of routes for some reason. It's disgusting, but just throw Doubs and Watson out there and just let us live a little, Green Bay, live a little.
I'll say this, dude, I'm fully with you on that. Like Watson dropping that pass. I'll say that for Watson. I'll say it for Alec Pierce. I'll say it for any of these rookies. Like if the Saints gave up on Jimmy Graham when he dropped 15 passes from Drew Brees, then they wouldn't have gotten the Jimmy Graham that was tight end one. If the Steelers gave up on Deontay Johnson when he was dropping everything, right? They wouldn't have got the Deontay Johnson they got. Like if these guys are getting open, the fact that Christian Watson had that much separation, that's all you need to see. He's going to figure out how to catch the football. You know what I mean? Like that was a lack of concentration. He can catch the ball. It's not, you know what I mean? Like he can catch that ball. He would probably catch that ball how many times out of 100, Kev? 90?
Probably 98, 99.
99. Like lack of concentration on the biggest stage. It happens, man. You got to go to the guy and say, hey, do everything you did again, except this time catch it, you dingus. Like, that's all you got to say. Treat it like it's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal, bro. Like we know the guy can catch it. He's probably caught a zillion balls in practice this offseason, from the jugs machine, from the backups, from the starters. Like, he's going to be fine. So I'm fully in. Like, put those guys out there. Randall Cobb is not going to be the Randall Cobb of yesteryear all of a sudden.
No, and I'm pretty sure that Sammy Watkins blew his one chance at having any kind of fantasy relevance this season because he didn't get it done in week 1, and historically, like, he's just not the dude anymore. I think what's more interesting is kind of looking at AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones and the way that the targets were distributed between them. Like, is there actually going to be a wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, or is it going to be a straight up, like, basically even target share between those receivers and then the running backs? Like, I'll add to your question, Kevin. Like, is there going to be a wide receiver 1 there? So
you mean
I'm
to
super
say
stoked
that?
To see it.
Sorry, you mean to say that because Devontae Adams, like Alan Lazard, isn't just going to walk into 170 targets? You mean that's not how that works?
But they're vacated. It's how they're supposed to happen. No.
Oh my God.
No.
I know how that happens all the time. I mean, I know. Yeah. I mean, it blows my friggin' mind sometimes. Like, I'm sorry, Dave Kluge, I love you, but dude, no, with Alan Lazard.
All right, so let's wrap it up. I'll give you guys mine, and it is a probably the scariest proposition that anyone's thrown out there. Like, what if Taysom Hill is gonna get the goal line work? Like, he only ran 4 routes. He only got 4 carries. There's no other player in the world that we're sitting here and be like, yeah, he got 4 carries and 0 targets, but I'm starting him this week. But being tight end eligible kind of changes the game a little bit. So there's a possibility that Taysom Hill turns out to be some weirdo. The weirdest tight end you can start in fantasy since Marquis Colston in 2012 or whatever it was.
The last time I went, that was earlier than that. That was like 2007. I went undefeated in fantasy. That was the last time I went wire to wire, was Colston's rookie year when he was a tight end eligible on Yahoo.
I have a Colston jersey because of that. Yeah, he was tight end 1. He beat out. It was like, if you look at, I think it was PPR. Colston was 1, and then it was like Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates, and it just felt so dirty. But he was miscategorized as a rookie, and that's how it worked. And Taysom Hill, he ran 4 routes, right? Like, is he a tight end? He ran 4 routes, got 1 target. Like, is he a rookie? Is he a tight end? Not really. But if he's going to score a rushing touchdown every other week, I mean, the league leader in touchdowns last year, it was tied between Dawson Knox and Hunter Henry with 9. A touchdown every other week is essentially 8 or 9 touchdowns. It's 8.5 touchdowns because there's 17 games now. So, I mean, he could ruin it for all of us, and it would be horrible, and I don't want that. So I'm rooting against it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Taysom Hill, real deal?
So
he's good for my underdog shares.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. An absolute steal in the final round of underdog. And I wish that I would have posted a video. Maybe I still have it. When we were sitting in the line at summer camp, waiting to get in Memorial Day weekend, I have to shout out Chris Sellers. He said that Taysom Hill was the best value in underdog because you could get him for free, and he was going to run all these trickery plays and all these wildcat plays, and he was going to return value at his position. And what do you know? Week 1, Sellers is just like victory lapping already. I don't know if this is going to be a continuous thing, but yeah, there we go. I don't know if this is going to be a continuous thing. And I did write in the hot takes article over at Fantasy Alarm not to waste a bunch of fab on him. But if he's sitting out there on waivers, like especially now the day after waivers have cleared. I mean, I don't mind picking him up and just seeing kind of how this evolves and how they use him in this offense. But you also have to consider that Alvin Kamara was dealing with a bit of a rib issue that was previously undisclosed. So he wasn't really getting any of the carries either. So I don't really think it's going to continue. But like I said, we got to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Taysom Hill. Why not? I don't really have a strong take either way because that's what I look at. I look at the fact that the dude had 4 carries and I'm like, well, like, no way. Because, if he gets stopped, then I literally have 1.2 points in my lineup, but that's still 1.2 points better than Cole Kmet did last week. So,
Yep.
It's at a gross tight episode. Yeah, it's sad but true. Cue Metallica. Don't sue us, Lars Ulrich. Yeah, I can't bring myself to make that click. As dangerous and kind of sexy as that click is, to go, I'm playing Taysom Hill. Screw it. Let's go. I just can't bring myself to do it. And I don't know if that's the character flaw in me or what, because normally I'm hyper aggressive with stuff like that, but I don't know.
I feel
that
like,
might be like base jumping.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like, we preach against going after OJ Howard because he had those 2 touchdowns, and then you look at the amount of routes that he ran. But yet we're all super hyped about Taysom Hill, and he's basically doing the same thing. Just because he's a little flashier in doing it does not mean that he's going to get this type of work every week. But it's week 1. We don't know. Like, we need to see more. And that's the whole point of, of week 1 overreactions, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's not going to have a 57-yard run, and he's not going to have a touchdown next week. Maybe he will.
That was a career long. That was a career
No, it'd be like
long
a 67-yard.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
And then,
so don't worry about it. Don't start him for your fantasy. Can you imagine clicking that? Yeah, like, no, of course not. If you got him in best ball, awesome. But don't start him in your
where you don't have to set a lot. Like if you're like any managed league where you have the choice of, do I start Mercedes Lewis or Taysom Hill? Like that's too tough of a click for me. But best ball, all bets are off because all my best ball teams. We're looking at 2023. I went on the Underdog app. I mean, there's some promising results from week 1, but we might be packing it in a little early this year. They're not great, but it is also week 1, so anything can happen.
And there were lots of studs that underperformed. That's another thing that we didn't really touch on in the show, but there were tons of studs like T. Higgins, going out with that concussion. Joe Burrow technically underperformed with all those turnovers.
He only threw 4 interceptions and fumbled.
Yeah, the stat line didn't necessarily reflect it because he got like a little bit of garbage and catch-up time, but that was not great. Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews. Honestly, Marquis Brown didn't look great. There were a ton of people who didn't look great in week 1, and I know that we just want to kind of go with our, emotional side and say we're wrong about everything, but it's just week 1. There's still plenty of time to play catch up.
Exactly. One more thing, by the way, and I haven't seen it talked about anywhere. Joe Flacco passing to the running backs, by the way. Like Breece Hall and Michael Carter are like locked in like RB2s at this point with Joe Flacco in, right?
I think so, absolutely. And I love Michael Carter. I talked about the fact that, Breece Hall probably wasn't going to get the start, at least right off. And then we saw that. And I know that Flacco kind of had a little bit to do with that because of those checkdowns and dump offs. But man, you love to see it, especially the 0 RB aficionados. Am I right, Kev?
Need the Jersey Shore like that and kind of music. One more thing, because I think I told you, Britt, but I did not tell Coop. I don't know how you would feel about this DFS lineup. I think I told Britt this lineup, but this is the most un-Kevin Tompkins DFS lineup in the history of DFS. Jared Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown and a bring back of Terry McLaurin, Nick Chubb in the Browns defense, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Johnson, and Dameon Pierce.
You started that lineup?
That's lineups going in the Millie.
You're starting a Dameon Pierce lineup?
Hey, he's going to be like 2% rostered.
Because he played like 2% of the snaps.
But this,
he might
matchup,
play.
though.
This is the one time they're ever going to have a positive game script, and he didn't even play. Just be careful with the Dameon piercing, okay?
The piercing.
Yeah, it
be
is
careful
piercing.
with the piercing. I don't know.
All
I
right.
think against the Jaguars that if we are going to start Dameon Pierce for 1 week, like this is going to be...
Could be positive. Could be positive.
Or wait, who are they playing?
Denver.
Denver. Okay.
Massive.
Denver, I'm a little bit more hesitant, but hey.
But I'm bearish on Denver, though, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, true.
And Julio. I threw Julio in there, too, because YOLO.
I mean, he popped up on the injury report today, so just that's Julio gonna Julio.
That is true.
Awesome, he's awesome, and he's too strong for his own muscles and bones.
The fact that he ran like 76% of routes and was in on 2 rushing attempts tells me everything I need to know about how Julio is right now. Yeah, he could pop up with a hamstring, no problem, but I mean, it's Julio friggin' Jones. We might have to. We're way over the hour. We got to get on going here. But of course, Britt, Coop, always a pleasure. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and do it. Like I said, it helps feed our kids. Because we got so many kids that we got to send to college.
Dude,
helps Coop get some more fingers traps.
If you don't hit that like button, my kids are going to be wearing newspapers on their shoes to school.
Tissue boxes too.
And I don't have kids, but I in the future, I'm gonna make them wear them. If you don't hit
eventually,
on
that's gonna be a conscious choice.
This one video, I'm gonna go back and be like, yeah,
who did it?
And I'm gonna tell them.
Do it for the children.
I'm gonna tell them this is Wendy's fault. It was Cameron Edgecombe's fault.
Chris Seller's fault. Mr. Scamper's fault. Craig's fault. Axel's fault.
That's gonna be on you guys. Gotta hit that like button. Retweet.
Definitely Jordan Loop's fault.
A retweet would that be so hard? It's again one button, right? So,
yeah. If you like us, go ahead and do it because we would do it for you. That we'll just play that angle. All right, we are out of here. Go enjoy the game tomorrow. Chiefs Chargers. That's gonna be a fun one. Good luck in setting your week 2 lineups. We will be back same bat time, same bat channel. Right here, youtube.com/lightning round for the week 3 strategy session for Britt, for Andrew Cooper. Whoever wants to do it, the floor is yours.
Toodles.